Call the meeting to order. Please rise for the pledge of allegiance. Pledge allegiance
To the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Today is March 14th, 2016. Roll call, please.
Aaron's? Here. Caprows?
Here.
Whalen?
Here.
Coleman?
Here.
Basil?
Here.
Meyer? Here.
Okay, we have the minutes from February 22nd. Any questions, comments, changes? If not, is there a motion?
So moved.
The motion made, is there a second?
Second.
Any questions in the motion? Roll call.
Aaron's? Yes. Caprows?
Yes.
Whalen?
Yes.
Coleman?
Yes.
Basil?
Yes.
Meyer? Yes.
Is there anyone from the audience that wishes to address the board?
No, we're here just sitting and want to see what's going on here, that's all. Hope you guys don't mind.
You're welcome.
Thank you, thank you.
If not, the village commission's beautification commission, trustee Aaron.
We have our next meeting in April, which should be the second Tuesday in April, coming up. That's all I have to report.
4th of July commission, trustee Coleman.
Yes, card bids have gone out to several dealers, car dealers, and we're waiting for responses from them. Work is to begin probably the first part of April on the storage building that we're building right outside the beer stand.
Youth commission, trustee Kaporis.
Trying to think, since our last meeting, had the daddy-daughter dance, well attended, 252 kids and adults together combined. Next event coming up will be mother-son dance, which is April 9th with the Star Wars theme. That's it.
Thank you. Urban Hope, trustee Basil.
They've made decisions on the ribbon and the foundation, I take it, and we're gonna break ground this spring.
Historic preservation, trustee Miller.
We have a couple new members, which we talked about. We're going to make appointments in May, so I have that. Nothing else to report.
For all the commissions, remember, May 1st, they have to reappoint, so if you can give me an updated list of your commission members. And then thereafter, there should be elections and so on and so forth every year, so just a reminder. Hopefully I can do it all at once this time, so I don't mess it up. I'll do it. I do it. Treasurer's report, trustee.
Lynn?
Everything is holding pretty much on track, like it has previously. The only major expenditure we had was with EG and Expo, and actually that was, check was cut in January. It was concrete work that was on County Cardinal Creek, so that particular account dropped drastically. Other than that, everything is holding pretty much true to form.
I'd like to make a motion to approve the treasurer's report and report of financial activity for the fire month.
Second.
There's a motion on the floor, and there was a second. Any questions on the motion? Roll call.
Meyer? Yes. Basil?
Yes.
Coleman?
Yes.
Whalen?
Yes.
Caprows?
Yes.
Aaron? Yes. Variance reports are enclosed for your review, and there's a list of revised bills. Looks like there were a few additions.
Yeah, quite a few things, Jay. Auction Electric, and I don't see, what is here? This is this is looking very quiet. I didn't see.
I'm here for 20 minutes.
This bill is replacing the VFD on well 4 from last fall. As you recall, we had a problem, well 4 was offline for a while. With the variable drive being out and the coordinator being out. We had a problem with the right sizing of the variable drive, and we finally came to a negotiated settlement with the vendors. Bud, do you want to add anything to that as far as that bill?
No, that was pretty much it, what you said, Bob. You sat in on a conversation to his explanation as to why it took so long for the bill to come through, and I think it had to do with returning drives and getting, between his company, the drives, and all of us together, getting the right numbers put in place. choice.
He ordered the wrong drive.
That was, you heard him say everything, it's all my fault, so, not my fault, it was his fault.
Moving on, we had a large bill from Beecher's that involved several vehicles, police and public works that were repaired in the last month. I'm just gonna point out the big ones. We had the last load of salt, we took our full allotment for the year now, rock salt, our bins are full. Jeanette has a fuel reimbursement, 3. Bill came in for electric. Gas Voda, we had a pump clog and wet well, and we had to go pull the pump and clean the impeller. That bill came in. HD Supply, we just received that bill today for the last 27 I-pearls needed to complete the $100 meter order. But you put in 100 meters plus what you had on the shelf, is that correct? So you got 27 more to go.
I think there's probably, for our agreed 100 for the year,
Yeah.
oh, we got, I believe it's less than that
Okay.
right now. I know it is.
We calibrated radar units for minor electric. These are the bills that came in over the weekend. You can see, and that's it.
I'd like to make a motion, to approve the amount of February bills for $138,935.42. Second.
The motion on the floor, and there was a second. Any questions on the motion? Roll call.
Aaron's? Yes. Caprows?
Yes.
Whaling?
Yes.
Coleman?
Yes.
Basil?
Yes.
Meyer?
Yes. And the budget workshop is scheduled for the March 25th meeting. We're gonna start the workshop at 6 o'clock, break for pizza at 7, and then go to the meeting. I know you say that your goal is to be done by 9. It shouldn't be too bad. We went over everything. There's an overview of the changes that were made. I don't think it'll be difficult. We'll probably do it as before, page by page, and just if anybody has questions, we'll go over it.
It's the 28th typo.
It's a
We're not
typo.
meeting on Good Friday. It's the 28th,
Oh, nice.
not the 25th.
It's 28th, correct?
Yeah, it's the 28th.
I did not. I'll
Because
work
Ron
on
said
it.
he's not meeting on Good Friday. Yeah, we plan on getting 6 to 7 budget, break for pizza, and then we'll go into our committee reports after we get our pizza and have a regular birth.
Okay, and that concludes my report.
Thank you. The Penfield water sewer street project, and Bob, John, and Slater,
Alright, review of Penfield Street Bridge Inspection Report. Everyone should have received a report. This is what we authorized last month doing, to be able to proceed with phase 1 engineering. We met with Baxter and Woman, we met as a committee, last week. Met with Baxter and Woman, went over a bunch of things with financing and stuff like that. And, it's the committee's recommendation that we move forward with the bridge and that be included. Again, going back to why we were not gonna include it is because there was a limit as to the size of the project that we could do that would be covered, under this federal grant, which is 80/20. Moving forward, if we don't do it now, which that got increased, so now we're able to increase the size of the project and it still be covered 80/20. And moving forward, it makes all the sense in the world to include it, but, I'm sure everyone had a chance to review the report, and, we got Tom here from Baxter and Woman that's willing to help us along here and answer any questions anyone might have.
Just to let the board know that the bridge addition to the project is $685,000. It's the 25 PD1, the 60 for PD2, and the 600 estimated cost to replace the bridge. Which I guess is not really technically a true term, it's a box culvert, not a bridge, is that correct?
Yeah, it's a culvert, it's not legally a bridge, it has to be over 20 feet in span to be a bridge.
So our cost, and I just did the 20%, is we have to pay the full 25,000, plus we pay 20% of 660,000. I wanted you to have an accurate figure of what it costs us to do the bridge. 132, plus the 25. Plus the 25. You're never gonna get that bridge done for 157,000 in the open market. Let the feds pay for 80% of it, so we decided to include it now.
And we're sure we can get that funding, right, 80%?
Yeah, in fact, Greg and I were at a meeting Thursday where we talked to the chief transportation planner for Will County. He said to us, you can get your 3.7 million for this project. Now that means we have to come up with our share, but the 3.7 that the feds wanna contribute is there. So now our job is to come up with 20% of that. Let John explain.
Yeah, I mean, that kind of, well, you know, flows into the next part, payment options for the Penfield SDP project. But I guess what we're kinda looking for is a consensus of the board that we include this, cause basically, right now, we need to know if we wanna move forward with that or not, because we're gonna need to draft a resolution to include that, because we'll be able to use MFT funds, and there's some other things that we're gonna need to know, so that way Baxter and Woman can progress with the phase 1 engineering of this. It's a matter of, is this gonna be included or not? So, I guess kind of what we're looking for is a consensus first, and then if there is a consensus that we move forward, then we can, you know, go about and start talking about how to pay for it.
I'm just wondering, you know, and it seems like a lot of money for a bridge. What is costing the amount for this bridge? Because you're talking about a concrete square, right? That you're going to actually set into this space once you get the old one out? Is that what you're gonna do?
Well, yeah, depending on all the studies that, when we size the opening, make sure the existing is adequate or whatever needs to be done, then a new structure to be determined would be placed over, and based upon similar projects, they estimated at 600 for the structure, which would include the two pedestrian bridges.
The walk bridges.
Yeah, you mean 2 new pedestrian bridges, so those old metal ones go away.
So they're not utilizing any of the existing, most likely, we're assuming worst case it all
So
comes out.
everything's gonna be, right. I don't know, it just seems like a lot of money for a bridge.
It was debated quite a bit, and bottom line is it doesn't make any sense. Number one, as Jonathan has always said before, is they're already working, and most likely it's going to be a cost savings, but when it all together comes, and it didn't make any sense to stop here, fly over the bridge and keep going on from there. Not to mention the fact we wanted to bring tonight if you remember the rendering of Penfield that we've seen in the past, we looked for it somewhere in the move to this building. It's got lost in the shuffle. But again, the entire project has that vision, which would include, you're gonna have this street possibly fixed, and then you're gonna have this old bridge that may have to be fixed down the road. So as again, another phrase that I keep referring to Jonathan, is kick the can down the road. If we don't fix it now, all we're doing is kicking the can down the road, where somebody's gonna have to fix it, and they're not gonna be able to take advantage of the cost savings. And that's basically what's the recommendations from the committee.
There's a number of things. One is, you're getting it covered 80% right now. In the future, who knows what's gonna be available to you. Number two is, it's not just the bridge, it's a removal of what's there. Widening, you're talking curbs, you're talking all new sidewalks. I mean, this is gonna look nice, you know, you're talking concrete walls on the side with a parkway between the street, you know, the curb, the street, sidewalk, everything all in one unit, not two miscellaneous metal bridges off to the sides. There was a few other advantages, Tom, with doing it, that section of water main is then also eligible.
Well, there's existing water main on the north side of the structure, which
Yeah.
would be eligible in the program at that point. Since it's in conflict with the bridge.
Kicks in, it becomes 90/20. There's a lot of pros to this, and I mean, when you're talking about, the last thing we wanna do is do a $4 or $5 million project, redo Penfield Street. I mean, as we move forward with this, you're gonna see that, I mean, we're able to incorporate street lighting back into this project. Curbs, I mean, this is, I mean, totally dressing it up, I mean, doing it right, nice. And I'd hate for a future board, 12 years down the road, go, why the heck didn't they replace this bridge? Now we're having to deal with it and cut into existing, you know, where everything's all been redone. Water mains to sanitary, to curbs, sidewalks, everything but the bridge smack dab in the middle. It just, to me, I don't know.
Probably wouldn't be considered to begin with, except the key is the funding is now there, where it wasn't there before.
Yeah, 80/20.
In all fairness, though, Scott, let's walk through the two scenarios in the back, with or without the bridge, and you're gonna find out that it's only costing you about 10 grand a year difference over 10 years. That's what convinced me that we should do the bridge.
Okay.
If you look at scenario
So
two.
you wanna move on to review of
Oh, I'm
payment?
sorry.
I mean,
Yeah.
we've heard from Scott, I mean, I know what Frank's feelings are, I mean, is Gail, Ron, I mean, what are your guys' thoughts on this?
I'd like to make sure that is done prior to the streets though, and any sidewalks, so that we're not taking it out a second time. And then my question is, how long is it gonna take to have that bridge put in? Is it-
Well, it would be built in conjunction with the road.
Oh, in conjunction,
Oh,
okay,
yeah,
so as
same
you're
time.
doing it, okay. I
Yeah,
got
and
it.
it
So
should
just
take
as
more than a
down the
season
line.
to do the whole
Okay,
length of it.
so you're not gonna do the bridge first and then
No.
do the roads, okay.
How long would the bridge be out of service? Should we do it during the summer before school starts?
Yeah, you could probably, if you wanted to shut it down completely and
Well,
not
it's gonna
stage
have
it
to be
all.
closed to replace it, I'm sure, I mean, you can't,
You could, yeah.
are you talking 2 weeks, 4 weeks? how long?
Oh, well, it depends what you put back. I mean, you could put a pre-cast structure, and you set up the foundations, just drop it in. That would go, you know, several weeks, but then you could look at a couple months. It just depends how fast you wanna do it.
So it would be a complete closure of the road for a period of time.
That would be the most fast way to do it, yeah, for a couple month or two.
A month or two?
Yeah.
And can we time that in our project planning, so it's between the school years?
Yeah, you could stage it, right? That would be part of the contract documents.
And after the 4th, but before school starts?
Yeah.
Sure.
Oh, for the fourth?
Fourth.
Oh, yeah, you
That's-
gotta
that's
go walk
tight.
ways by the
I
fourth.
mean, yeah, there's good, I mean, you know, we're putting the cart way before the horse here.
I
mean,
know.
You're talking about a multi-million-dollar project of resurfacing, redoing Penfield, you know, from the water mains to sanitary to roads, from Route
It's-
1 to Gould
It's
Street.
very
There's
possible that summer, the
There's
4th of
gonna
July
be some
will be back in the park.
inconveniences, there's gonna be some traffic, but,
Yeah.
you know, you gotta look end result, you
That's
know,
right.
it's just,
So that
it's
year,
a
the
fact
4th of
life.
July may have to be in the grass.
So, alright, so it seems as though we got a consensus, Marce, your thoughts? Yeah. Alright. So now review of payment options, for the Penfield STP project. Everyone should have received, some handwritten notes here, which is basically a couple of options. You got option 1, option 2. So we started with option 2, is the Penfield STP without the bridge. There you'll see costs of, phase 1 engineering, PE 1, phase 2 engineering, PE 2, construction, which is engineer estimates, CE, which is, observation, engineering. You'll see water, sanitary, lighting, and a total.
That's the village portion.
That is village portion of project. Basically, Bob's already taken it, and that's our percentages of what's 80/20 eligible, what's not eligible, and so forth. That puts our cost, the village cost of the project at $1,137,200. Outside of what's already covered, and we're planning to pay out of our funds that we have, you're looking at a village cost of $741,000 that we would be doing financing. Basically, you took that $741,000, at 5%, which is a fair rate, for 10 years. You'll see that's the interest. Then below that, you'll see the 741 with the 185 as P and I together. At 10 annual payments, it comes to about $92,650 a year for 10 years. Of which, that debt would be pledged to the infrastructure fund, which has an annual amount in it of $142,000, which is sufficient to cover the loan, and would leave approximately $49,000 a year for other road projects. Now, you look at option one, which would be including the bridge. The village's participation cost. Here you'll see an increase in the PE1, what's paid for, and some that would be included in the loan. MFT pays for phase 2. Water, sanitary, which leaves a new village share of $873,000. $873,200. 10-year loan at 5% interest. Gives you a P&I of $1,091,000. 10 annual payments comes to $109,150 a year. So as Bob stated, the difference is approximately 16,000 strong per year over 10 years increase.
And this scenario assumes that we would find the $75,000 to pay for that extra PE1 somewhere. And that would probably be taken out of current public infrastructure fund.
Now, and then down here you'll see what you currently leave approximately $33,000 a year for future road resurfacing projects. Now there's a few things that I went ahead and I looked at. These are, as Bob states, is that these are very conservative numbers. The 5%. What if you get it at 4.5%? We're using straight engineer estimate numbers for construction. Typically, it's been our experience that we come in under it of those, right? I mean, Baxter and Lehman always tries to give us.
Well, they're conservative.
They're conservative numbers. I mean, so just for an example, the payments of $109,000. This is just one number that I pulled together on my own. Is if we were to get the loan at 4.5%, not 5%, 5% possibly be, if we could maybe save a half point there. If numbers come in approximately 6% under on engineer estimates, on just the construction end of it, our payments would only be $100,549 versus the $109,000. Now you're at an additional $9,000 a year onto that 33. You're back at the $42,000 a year for future road projects. There's a lot of variables. You got to remember, all these numbers are conservative. This may not be exactly where everything ends up. But I mean, these are rough numbers. I mean, so thoughts.
The reason we're discussing this now and not putting it off is we basically shut down the entire engineering of this project until we decide what to do with the bridge. Because you're as far as you can go until we decide what we're gonna do with the bridge.
You have to change the profile or anything,
Yeah.
up or down, forward, awesome.
There's a lot more hydrological studies that have to be done on the creek. So we're at a crossroads here where we have to make a decision regarding the bridge. What we're gonna do.
Sue, what do you think?
I'd love to be conservative and say it doesn't have to be done right now, but I have to agree with you, it would be stupid to put it off. If we can get the feds to cover a lot of it now, it would just be crazy to not do it and wait and have to pay full money some other time, so.
Right.
It's a vocal point of the Beecher, I would say do it.
Definitely do it.
Yep.
It's inevitable, it needs to be done, I would say to the bridge.
John, Dory spoke. Scott?
Yeah, we've talked about this bridge for many years. you know, and have had studies on this bridge, I think we need to include it in the project.
Okay, so we have our direction.
We're planning on paying for PE2 with MFT, so we have to front that money, and then the feds will pay us back, and put it back into MFT, $48,400 later than what we put into it. And it's gonna be at least 3 years until we actually have a construction schedule, I would assume, is that right?
Well, you're looking at 19, what we're talking about.
Yeah, we have to get programmed into the federal.
Right, you've gotta get into the program. With the request for additional funds, you get into the
And
what
we're
kind
not
of governmental.
phasing, we're doing the entire project, we're not phasing it, so I don't have to worry about the restoration on the water main, which we're doing later this fall. That can still just be a 4-inch
Right. that's good.
temporary patch, and we'll proceed with the big project in 19. That's all I need at this point. I don't think there needs to be a vote or anything.
No, I mean, we have consensus now, now we know to have to draft those resolutions and that we need to do and we move forward, so, good.
At the end of the meeting, I will do a very brief executive session, special land acquisition. Is there any other old business to come before the board? Any new business to come before the board? I always look for it.
I was gonna introduce Mr. Salmon and Son. They are the new owners of several buildings on Blue Street. They're in the process of doing major restorations of those buildings. And I hope we plan on opening soon, is that correct?
Yeah, hopefully in the next, by summer, the bar should be open. That's my building that I purchased, and even I'm working on the one for my wife, and I should have that ready by summer as well. We wanna try to get the whole front of it looking well before 4th of July, as well as you guys know, it's very important to the village here. Yeah, cause I know John came by with, Bud last week, and, they said they were talking about maybe some railings or something over there, so that's why I didn't know if you guys were even talking about it today.
That's actually next meeting.
Is it next? No, that's
It's
fine. And we-
Programmed in the budget, the
You
finance
know, and
committee.
we've been talking about coming by here and see what was going on, get a little more an idea what the village is all about here, and we never really had time, you know, with me working in the city and everything, and coming here and everything, what we got going on here, we've always been busy, but, one of the gentlemen stopped by the village and dawned on me the meeting was nice, so here we are. So here we are.
Appreciate the fact that you come.
Yeah. This is just a quick business meeting tonight. The next meeting is where all the discussion occurs.
Okay, very good. Well, you gotta start somewhere, right?
Any other-
So you picked a good meeting where you don't have to be here for 3 hours.
Okay, with that, I ask for a motion to go into executive session for land acquisition.
So moved.
Is the motion made, is there a second? There's a second, roll call.
Meyer,
Yes.
Basil,
Yes.
Coleman,
Yes.
Whaling,
Yes.
Caprows,
Yes.
Aaron.
Yes.
Staff, can stay.
Thank you all for coming.